everyone doing? If you're not familiar with who I am, my name is Gailyn. I go by Chef Gailyn. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist and dietary health coach, and I'm also a coach on a program called Have It All with Kelsey. So I'm excited to have you all here with me today. Alrighty. How's everyone doing? Everyone ready for the weekend? Let's do this weekend. Okay, so much fun. Just trying to get our lighting in order. Okay, I appreciate you all hopping on. I know, so much fun, right? All right, let's do this. Let's do this. Okay, so the topic that I'm going to be talking about today is perfectionism holding you back? Okay, so we've been talking a lot, right, about vision boards and goal setting and all things to do with that, right? And we are excited. We're excited about this next season of life. And I know a lot of us, our kids are back in school. Things have kind of settled down a little bit in the area. I know there's a lot of traumatic situations going on as far as people's health issues. And so with all of that, I just want to speak a blessing to everyone just right now, because just myself personally, I have had a few people who I've just really loved that have passed on, and I just seem to be hearing this more and more with family and friends. So I just want to just take a moment and just speak a blessing on the families' lives and just comfort, okay? And then also too, if you're in a place of suffering, I just want to speak hope into you. And I just want to send out all good energy and vibes and everything, okay? All right, so you all, let's just get into this, okay? Because that's why I love doing these. I love doing these lives. I love posting this all over like YouTube and Facebook, and you guys are here on Instagram with me and through my emails, because I really feel like hope is everything, right? And sometimes we just need to hear it over and over and over again in order for it to stick. And even though I teach these methods, there's not a day that goes by that I do not open up my own book and read my own affirmations. You know what I mean? Because this world can be a little bit dark, right? And just hearing things from like all over, or people, family, friends, just environment, religious organizations, it just depends, whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's like silent. Can everyone just be silent? I just need a moment to like breathe and be happy for a minute, right? Okay. So what we're going to be talking about is perfectionism, and is perfectionism holding you back? So I know a lot of you probably have heard the term like better done than perfect. Can we all just say that together? Better done than perfect. I mean, isn't that just the truth? Okay, I cannot tell you. All right, so you guys, most of you all know my story on here. So I'm like a serial entrepreneur. I opened up my first restaurant when I was 22. I've had 4 restaurants throughout the years all over the country, and I'm a chef, and I love things all from the beginning. So now not only am I an accountability coach, and I own a probiotic line called Kefir, which is all about detoxing your digestive tract, and I believe in clean and organic eating, and that food is medicine. But also too, I'm a brand ambassador for Savvi, so I do the whole fitness clothes thing, and the clothes and wear, like everyday wear, you know what I mean? Because I'm always on here anyway, and you all are already asking me about what I'm wearing and where did I get it from. So instead of saying Lululemon now, I can say Savvi. Here's my link. Okay, so but what I'm trying to say is, like, when I first started in my businesses, and this happens to all of us, like even just you hear this all the time, like, oh, when you can have kids, oh, when the time is right. Okay, there is never a perfect time for anything. Just go for it. That's what I say. Like, if you're feeling in your spirit, I just say go for it and figure it out as you go. That has been my entire life. Like, I'll figure it out as I go. Okay, just say yes and then figure it out. Now, I will say, when I was first doing my restaurants, it was like I kept putting off the opening date, because I was like, you know, my first restaurant, right? It's like, oh my goodness, well, I want to finish the molding up here. Or I don't, you know, I wanted to have like these many entrees, and I wanted 10 entrees, and I only had 6 that I felt like totally perfected. And, you know, so it was like, but at the end of the day, a lot of times it's literally just fear, and people always seem to think that perfectionism is a gift, right? Like it's great. Like, oh my gosh, well, I'm a perfectionist. Like, you hear that. It's almost like, it's like undertone bragging rights. Like, I'm a perfectionist. Like, oh, okay, well, you know, like, oh, I want to be. Can you come to my house? I want you to come to my house if you're a perfectionist. But it can hold you back. It can really hold you back. So now that it's kind of interesting. It's almost like when I look at my businesses in my restaurant versus my first one to my fourth one, I almost think of children. I mean, I only have 3 children, but like from my first child to, you know, your third or fourth, right? You hear this all the time. Like, you just start like, you just like let it go. It's like sink or swim by then, right? And that's what I really learned. So by the time I started launching off my other restaurants or other businesses, I just go in full throttle. Do you know what I mean? And you know what? And I figure it out on the way. Like, because what I've learned too is I have a vision, but when you walk in a place of really wanting to touch the lives of whatever you're doing, okay, whatever kind of business you're in, sometimes those directions like shift. So sometimes you're grateful that you didn't make that decision of either putting that on the menu or having it set up that way or having the walls a certain way, because you just went for it. And then once you actually got in there, you were like, wait, no, this would actually work better. So I'm so grateful I didn't take that step and do that. Okay, so releasing perfectionism. So this is something that we're going to release. We're going to let go of. Today is the day you're going to let go of perfectionism. We all have a little bit of it inside of us, and some of us are like insane about it. And let me say this too. If someone was to, like, I keep an organized home, right? But the reality is I have 3 children. I have teenage girls. I can't believe their room is actually spotlessly clean right now. They're both straight A students. They work full time. But let me tell you something. I don't know what happens. I can only talk for girls. Girls are rock stars. They can clean from the ages of 10 to a solid 13. Once they hit 14, it's like their cleaning skills, or even getting like dirty dishes out of their bedroom, is like they forget how it's done. I don't know. I'm not really too sure why, but anyway. So I have 15 and 17-year-old girls, and then I have a 3-year-old. So if you came into my house, it's like unannounced. Okay, just say unannounced. Like, it can be like, right now. But if you ever walked into my restaurants, I mean, talk about, like, my staff literally called me the warden. Like, she's a warden. Like, you would have never thought that I was that intense, you know what I mean, of a person. Like, if you just know me in mom life and work life, and even, you know, I do like all of that kind of world, okay? Completely different than owning like my restaurants or my business, or the way that I do my Kefir, and the way that I am with my accountability clients. I mean, you can ask them. Like, I'm very strict. I'm very regimented. I'm very like, whoa, you know what I mean? Oh, like, heck no. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, this is how it's done. There's like one way, and that is the only way. And there's a time and place for it. But what I have learned through the process is that is why it's so important as a leader, that you need to hone yourself in every single day and do checks with yourself to make sure that there's a difference from being like wanting the best for your business or your environment or your children versus being controlling. Okay? I know that probably hit some of you all, because a lot of times we don't want to let go of control. So perfectionism is like a form of control, okay? When it's an unhealthy attachment to have everything perfect. All right, so this is something that I wrote in my book that I wanted to share with you all. Okay, perfectionism is an unhealthy connection between self-worth and performance. so I grew up super, super religious. Okay, you had to look completely flawless 24/7. Then I went to a private school. It was actually a really good school. Our school was very balanced. I'll say it was very balanced, even though I was very, you know what I mean. I was definitely on the straight and narrow. Are you kidding me? But then I did go off to a religious, like, I'm just gonna say it was a cult, okay, over in Washington State, and I got involved with that for a couple of years. And that you had to be like, talk about a perfect, like you had to look, walk, act, talk, dress, I mean, flawlessly. Okay, we were literally like, I don't know if you've seen the Dead Poet Society. We're all like in our perfectly, I mean, literally you had to be so like, even though it was a religious environment, like even the girls had to have their makeup on perfectly. We couldn't have a hair out of place, you know, and it was very intense. Okay, it took me 15 years to heal from those 2 years of spiritual abuse, but I got through it. Okay, and but perfectionism is an unhealthy connection between self-worth and performance. Okay, so it comes from like a polarized thinking, right? You believe falsely that everything is either black or white, good or bad, all or nothing. Okay, and I live such a life of freedom now that I can tell when someone is literally in that environment and they're like, wow, how can she just like live life and have fun and like go do this and go do that? Like, shouldn't she be like, because I was that person. I would be envious and jealous that people just wouldn't let themselves, you know, that they would just let themselves go. Like I would be like, I want that. Like, I just want to let go and just be free, and you know what I mean? And all that. How can they do it? How can they just do that? You know what I mean? And perfectionism does that. It holds you to a place where there's just one way. And if it's not that way, you cannot find a place of peace. Okay? Okay, this is a restrictive mindset, and it creates the thinking that everything has to be perfect, okay? Or you're a failure, all right? Because people will see you not as good enough. All right, so a lot of it too is like, well, I mean, it's definitely like just wearing a mask. Perfectionism is you have such a fear of what other people will think of you. I mean, such a fear. And so if you can't do something perfectly, you just don't do it at all. Okay, so I know a lot of you all want to take those risks out there, and you don't do it and you blame it on other people. I can only say this because I've been there, okay? But you don't do it and you don't take that risk because you have a fear of failure. Okay, you have a fear of failure. You all, I would have never done anything in life if I just didn't get over that. You know what I mean? You really have to get to a place where you're like, I really don't care. And let me tell you something. Yeah, there'll always be those people who are waiting for you to crash and burn. I mean, we all have them. We all have them that are like waiting on the sidelines, like they watch our stories and they're like eating their popcorn and they're like, when is she gonna crash and burn? You know what I mean? But you cannot care what other people think. Let me turn this off, this noise off over here, just so it doesn't go again. Oop, I hope I turned it off. Okay, I know, my last video, I had some of like the background noise going on, and you all do not like that. People definitely let me know when they don't like it, even like a sound. But anyway, I appreciate it. I'm getting better at these. Just so it's smoother for you. I don't want distractions, right? Okay. And so you can't do something perfectly, so you just don't do it at all. All right. So, and there is no middle ground that encompasses the complexity of what most people's situations are. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, just go for it. Like, if you feel like you want to do something, I promise you, think about it. People are more impressed that you actually just went for it than not doing it at all. Because they're like, wow, I would have never even done it. I would have never even just done it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I like at 46, right? I had a baby, and well, I had a baby at 47, And then I decided 4 months after I had my baby that I wanted to be an NPC bikini competitor. Okay. And I'm on stage competing with these like 20-year-olds that have been doing it for the last, 5 years. Okay. Like, but I felt that I just needed that kind of challenge in my life because for me, I knew it was going to heal my body really quick. It was going to shift my thinking that I really, really needed. I'd come out of some crisis situations. I was actually in a crisis situation. So I just knew that I needed this in my life. God blessed me with an amazing coach. And it's crazy the things that you need to do and you go for them, like how you actually find healing in the process just by going on your intuition, right? So I get there. I'm like, literally, there's thousands of people. Okay, us bikini competitors. I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but I've never lifted weights before. I've always been like a runner, so I had to like go crazy. So in 4 months, I lost 65 pounds. I built muscle mass. I leaned out. My baby was only my third baby, 8 months old. I was 47. It was 4 hours away, this competition. And I took all 3 of my children, so it was just me. I didn't have any adults with me. I brought and it was rainy out. Oh my goodness. And I'd never done anything like this before. So those of you who compete, like, like your first competition, you're like, what in the world? And then these bikinis are like tiny, tiny. And then like they spray paint your body. And then like the makeup girls come and, they like, because you're on the stage and these lights are, so your makeup's like bam, and they have like lashes, and then they have like your extension, like, and then you're in 5-inch stilettos. Okay, so everybody has their thing, right? It was insane. Anyway, I compete all the time now, but I actually placed in my category, and I remember just before going on stage, I was like, can someone explain to me why the heck I'm doing this? I mean, there are like 5,000 people in the audience. There were about 250 competitors that day. Gorgeous, but let me tell you something. These women could not have been more loving, kind. I'll tell you what, if you are ever considering being a competitor in the NBC, like, there is zero cattiness. It's all love. You know what I mean? Seriously, every girl roots every girl on. It is a beautiful community because we're all like weightlifters for like an ounce of that time, like a 1% of the time you are on stage. You know what I mean? But other than that, we are all sweaty 24/7. We're like lifting weights. We're like crushing it. We're like in the gym. Like we're but all you guys see is like, anyway, my point is like, before I went on stage, I was like, oh my gosh. And then I'm like looking at these other girls and I'm like, there's like no way. There's like no way. What am I even doing here? And my whole body was shaking. I was like, I'm going to get on stage and I'm shaking so much. I'm literally going to fall. I'm going to fall. And then I shift my thinking. I said, no, there's a reason for this. My girls are in the audience, I have to trust the process. I have to have confidence in myself. And I let go of like trying to be perfect. Okay, just let go trying to be perfect. And I just said a prayer. I said, Lord, I just pray when people see me up there that they see my heart and my smile shining out of me. Do you know what I mean? That they would just feel like my love and my encouragement, and like, if I can do it, you can do it, and I just really focused on others instead of myself. Okay, and when that happens, we realize that we don't have to be perfect. Okay, we don't have to compare ourselves to someone else, because there's only one of you. There's only one of you. There's plenty, like, if you're a coach or if you're someone who, it doesn't matter what you are in life. Okay, this is what I'm trying to say. There is plenty for everyone. There is no lack. There is no lack. What you have to offer the world is totally different than what I have to offer the world, or someone else has to offer the world. Even if it's under the same umbrella of subject, people are drawn to different people for different reasons. Do you know what I mean? Okay. Perfectionism sets you up for frustration and failure, and it's hard to move forward, all right? Anxiety, low self-esteem, obsessive compulsive behavior, substance abuse, depression, all can result from perfectionism. And a lot of you all know that I deal a lot with, I'm an accountability coach, so I do have my own clients that suffer from different addictions, but I'm also an addiction counselor over at the facility that I used to go to because I was in love with someone who had addictions. So I started off there, went there for a few years, and then I graduated as a counselor. So I've learned a lot through the years because I'm such like a very self-motivated person. I am very in control of my life. I thought, I don't understand how people can get addicted to things and have something else control their life. You know what I mean? But then I realized, well, you can still have an addiction to work. You can still have an addiction to other things that are unhealthy, that aren't traditional. Do you know what I'm talking about? And a lot of times when someone feels like they can't be perfect, then they start walking in a place of shame, and then they start taking something or doing an act that will numb that, okay? So it's just really something to think about, So, and I'm just going to say this because it's a little bit, so since I know this so well, and it's like written in my book, I remember, so this is kind of like what people say when you're interviewing for a job, right? So we've all done this. It's like, oh, well, what's your number one downfall? Like if an employer is asking you that, like, what's your number one downfall? It's like, I'm a perfectionist. And it's interesting because it's like, oh, wow, well, I'm going to hire this person. Like their downfall is a perfectionist. They'll make sure my whole world is like perfect. You know what I mean? But what I realize, when people say that to me, okay, when I'm doing the interview, I'm like, oh, they have something coming to them, because in my world, I do not surround myself with people who need to be perfect, and I will beat that out of you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just want you, and everyone has a bad day, and everyone has a bad moment, and no one is flawless. Do you know what I'm saying? But in their minds, they're like, oh, wow, okay, well, good answer. Okay. In truth, there is no absolute. All good there's nothing that's all bad or all good. Like within reason. Okay, y'all are with me, right? We all have our strengths and weaknesses, and if you ever fail at one thing, it doesn't mean you're a failure. Okay? It doesn't mean you're a failure. If you fail at something, it doesn't mean you're a failure. Okay? Well, I am such a risk taker in the biggest things in life. Having 4 restaurants, some of them I sold, some of them I kept so that I could do like catering, some, you know what I mean? I just do probiotic lines out of them, and then I've been married 3 times, okay? And you can either look at things as all or nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh gosh, that totally didn't go. That totally didn't go well. And especially my last marriage, we had like the most amazing wedding. It was like in the Dominican. We were there for like 8 days with our favorite family and friends. I ended up getting pregnant during my engagement. We were engaged for a year, and so I was like 4 months pregnant when we actually got to the altar, and with our little blueberry muffin, right? But it's like, you cannot look at life at all or nothing. Do you know what I mean? Obviously that didn't work out for a reason. But all those who made it, every single time we have our anniversary, I let those people know that honestly, that was such an incredible week. I had the best time. My girls were there. My dad was there. You know what I mean? Like my stepmom, who I just loved to death, was there. I mean, it's like these memories of just family from all over the globe came, and friends from all over the globe. It was like just an amazing, amazing time. So it's like, I just say be careful with your words when you're talking about all or nothing. Do you know what I mean? Because if you are a perfectionist, that's something that you'll look at. Like if something didn't work out, like a relationship, obviously you were in love with them for a reason at some point. So it wasn't all bad. Okay? And so that's why it's important to remember the good and just focus on that. I mean, you're not with them anymore, so just be grateful for those moments that brought you two together, and then praise God that you're out of it. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to finish up with so here are some ways to actually let go of perfectionism. So I'm going to finish up with these four points. Okay, when you feel you must do something perfect, ask yourself what's the worst case scenario if you don't do it perfectly. Okay? 2, think of someone you admire. All right? Think of incidences when they weren't perfect. Okay, we all know someone, right? 3, instead of thinking of things in black and white, evaluate them on a scale of 0 to 10. I do this all the time when I ask someone, hey, how's your day on a scale of 1 to 10? Like, I always say that to them. So how was your day? Tell, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate it? Something can fail, particularly succeed or completely exceed. So it can be like, totally a crash and burn, or there can be like, well, kind of worked, or yeah, definitely rocked it out. A person can sometimes be kind, they can sometimes be apathetic, and they can sometimes be cruel. Okay? So even using those words, like, we always hear about in relationships, don't constantly say you always, you know what I mean? Because then that is what's going to surface, is the negativity that you keep speaking in that person's life. Like our blueberry muffin head, he is a 3-year-old boy, and he is just so high energy. Like, his teacher every day emails me, and he's only 3, and she's like, okay, just to let you know, he is going to be an athlete. Like, he is going to be an athlete. She's like, we open the front doors and all he does is run nonstop as hard as he can with the big boys outside, full throttle, and does not stop. You know what I mean? Like, it's intense. And so my point is like, so he says to us, we always, like, we just naturally say it, the girls and I, like, you're so crazy. And so now he's like, I'm crazy. And so now we're like, okay, wait, we probably shouldn't keep telling him he's crazy, because we don't want that to resonate in him. So we're always like, oh, you're such a sweetheart, or we love you, or you're such a gentleman. Like, we try to speak things into his life that aren't like so intensy, right? So you have to be careful the way you speak to people, for sure. And even if you're in a relationship with, if you're in a relationship with someone who's kind of harsh, when they're gentle, just speak that to them. Like, oh, you're so gentle. Like, speak that so that is who they are when they're with you. You know what I mean? It really is, the power of your words is like, it's everything, right? Okay. And number 4, we're going to close on this. Focus on achieving, not perfectionism. Oh, I love this. But on reaching excellence. I always love that. Excellence, walking in a place of excellence. And I feel like when you can just really focus on that, because you want the best for your children, you want the best for your employees, you want the best for yourself, right? To just walk in a place of excellence. And because that gives you room that, like, no one's perfect. We're all going to have a bad moment. We're all going to make a bad decision. We're all not going to be spot on with our intuition and be like, ooh, probably shouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? But you learn from it, you get up, you move on. It's not all or nothing. It's not black or white, okay? It's not our entire day is like a crash and burn, all right? There's those around us that are still alive, that are breathing, that are doing well. Let's focus on the good. All right, I love you all. You all are amazing. If you all have any questions or concerns, please go ahead and get in touch with me. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and like this. You can also subscribe. All of you on Instagram, I don't know, what can I say? I love you all. We're live on Instagram, right? Unless you're watching my real story. And if you are on my email list, I appreciate you. And I also want you to know that you can join these different groups that I have in all these other sites as well when I go live, so you can ask your questions below. All right, I love you all, and enjoy this gorgeous weekend.